Florida Supreme Court has thrown out the death sentence for Tiffany Cole, accused of murdering a St. Nicholas couple by burying them alive in Georgia.
Within the grim confines of death row, a haunting reality unfolds as we delve into the stories of the top 10 youngest women ensnared by its chilling embrace. Once brimming with potential, these young lives now stand at the precipice of fate, sparking profound questions about justice, circumstance, and the human capacity for change. Join us as we navigate the poignant narratives of these women, each a testament to the complexities of crime and punishment. Number 1. Tiffany Ann Cole. Meet Tiffany Ann Cole, born on December 3, 1981. This American woman's story took a dark turn when she became involved in a shocking crime that left a Florida couple's lives tragically cut short. The tale of greed, deception, and a sinister plan unfolded in a quiet neighborhood. Tiffany Cole was no stranger to the older couple, Carol and Reggie Sumner. Their paths had crossed in South Carolina, where they were once neighbors. When the Sumners moved to Jacksonville, Florida, Tiffany remained in touch, buying a car from them. What seemed like an ordinary transaction would soon become more sinister. In the summer of 2005, Tiffany was accompanied by her boyfriend, Michael Jackson, on a trip to Jacksonville. Staying with the Sumners, Michael began plotting to rob them and access their bank accounts. He enlisted the help of two others, Alan Wade and Bruce Nixon, and their plan quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Tiffany, Michael, Alan, and Bruce approached the Sumners' home one day. With fake intentions, Alan and Bruce asked to use the phone. Once inside, they revealed their true intentions. The elderly couple was bound, gagged, and blindfolded with duct tape. The criminals ransacked the house, desperately searching for financial information. Struggling to find the needed information, they eventually forced the Sumners into their car's trunk and embarked on a sinister journey. Their goal was to steal from the Sumners and cover their tracks by burying them alive in a remote area of Georgia. As the group embarked on their deadly journey, tensions rose. Tiffany and Michael followed in another car while Alan and Bruce drove the Sumners in their vehicle. When they reached the burial site, the situation escalated. The Sumners, still alive and fighting, were buried in a grave, slowly succumbing to the weight of the soil. After the crime, Tiffany pawned stolen items and used the Sumners' ATM card to withdraw money. Eventually, the group was tracked down and arrests were made. Tiffany, Michael, Alan, and Bruce faced trial, where evidence of their guilt was overwhelming. Tiffany's trial concluded swiftly, with a jury finding her guilty of first-degree assassination. The evidence, including photos of her celebrating with ill-gotten gains, left little doubt about her role. Sentenced to death, she joined the ranks of the most notorious criminals. Over time, legal developments led to changes in the case. Tiffany's sentence was reconsidered, and she was ultimately sentenced to life in prison without parole. Her accomplices faced different fates. One received life in prison, while another's sentence changed from death to life behind bars. This dark chapter in Tiffany's life became the subject of documentaries, highlighting the chilling details of the crime and its aftermath. Number 2. Amelia Lily Carr. In a heart-wrenching story that unfolded in sunny Florida, Heather Strong, a young woman with dreams as vibrant as the orange groves, met a gruesome fate in February 2009. Heather, born on March 23, 1982, lost her life at 26. The shadowy incident involved twisted love, jealousy, and a pregnant Amelia Lily Carr, whose fate turned dark. Heather and Amelia were like fire and ice, burning for the same man's affections. This rivalry simmered until it boiled over, leaving Heather kidnapped and assassinated. Suspicion pointed to Amelia, and despite her protests of innocence, the courts found her guilty. In December 2010, the gavel of justice struck, sealing her fate with a death sentence, a rare ruling for a woman in Florida. But the tale didn't end there. Over time, the wheels of justice turned in a different direction. In May 2017, Amelia's destiny was rewritten. The sentence changed from death to life without parole, casting her into a lifetime of confinement. Not just one, but two lives were snuffed out in this chilling saga. Heather's husband, Joshua Fulgham, was convicted of first-degree assassination and kidnapping. Their shared journey spiraled through threats and violence until Heather's life was brutally extinguished. At his trial, a web of jealousy and betrayal was unveiled, painting a picture of a stormy relationship. Emilia Carr's life before this tragedy was as tangled as the plot that sealed her fate. Born as Emilia Yera on August 4, 1984, she faced hardship early on. Her troubled family background and allegations of misuse marked her life. Marriages, restraining orders, and a conviction for grand theft of exotic birds defined her journey. The timeline of events reads like a suspense novel: engagements, threats, and the chilling disappearance of Heather Strong in February 2009. Her lifeless body was found in March, revealing the dark truth of her demise. Carr's involvement was undeniable, marked by her numerous statements to authorities and recorded conversations that whispered of guilt. The case details were chilling: a plastic bag over Heather's head, a futile attempt to break her neck, and a final asphyxiation while bound and helpless. Joshua Fulgham's arrest on fraud charges further clouded the already grim scene. Through legal battles, trials, and emotional testimonies, the story unraveled. Carr's IQ of 125, her troubled past, and her pregnancy during the trial added complexity to an already twisted tale. Number 3. Samantha Allen. A heart-wrenching case has concluded as jurors delivered a decisive verdict. The fate of Samantha Allen, a 29-year-old woman from Phoenix, Arizona, was sealed as she was sentenced to death for the chilling death of her 10-year-old cousin, Amy Deal. The young girl's life was tragically cut short when she was subjected to unimaginable torment, locked within a tiny plastic storage box, left to perish as punishment for the seemingly trivial act of taking an ice pop. This shocking decision places Samantha Allen in a grim category, making her the 55th woman on death row across the United States. Among the states grappling with the intimidating task of securing execution narcotics, Arizona stands out, with only 2 other women on death row. Pharmaceutical companies have taken a stand against their products being used for lethal injections, causing difficulties for states seeking capital punishment. The jury's deliberations, spanning several days, culminated in this historic ruling. The trial revolved around the haunting events of 2011 when Amy Deal met her tragic end. Samantha Allen was found guilty of first degree alongside 4 counts of child harm on June 26. The shocking details of the case exposed the harrowing abuse Amy Deal endured at the hands of her relatives. In this heart-wrenching saga, authorities revealed that Allen and her husband forced the innocent child into the confinements of the storage box overnight, a punishment devoid of humanity. Amy Deal's life ebbed away, spending 6 to 7 hours in darkness. The legal proceedings are far from over, as Samantha Allen's husband, John Allen, is slated to face trial. He, too, faced grave charges of first-degree assassination and child harm, carrying the possibility of a death sentence. Presenting his plea of not guilty, the upcoming trial will unveil more about the tangled circumstances leading to this heinous crime. Amy Deal's demise was not an isolated event, but the culmination of a series of appalling misuses inflicted upon her by multiple relatives. The horrors inflicted upon her are painful even to contemplate: being coerced to consume dog feces, endure physical beatings, ingest hot sauce, and even face submersion in a frigid pool. Initially, those responsible attempted to conceal the truth, weaving a tale that Amy had vanished during a late-night game of hide-and-seek. The reality, however, was far grimmer. Several other family members are behind bars, serving sentences for their roles in perpetuating the cycle of abuse against Amy Deal. As the gavel falls and justice is meted out, the memory of Amy Deal serves as a stark reminder of society's duty to shield the innocent from the clutches of cruelty. Number 4. Taylor Parkers. In a chilling courtroom saga spanning 9 weeks, a dozen jurors from Bowie County were plunged into a spine-tingling ordeal as they unveiled the disturbing chronicle of Taylor Parker's deeds. Parker languishes on death row, a stark consequence of her heinous act in 2020. She robbed 21-year-old Reagan Hancock of her life and cold-heartedly ripped her unborn baby, Braxlyn, from her womb. These jurors, a mix of ordinary individuals turned seekers of truth, had a grim duty. They weren't merely subjected to the nightmarish particulars of the deaths, but were also thrust into the sinister labyrinth of Parker's twisted machinations leading to the crime. In a jaw-dropping turnaround that took just a tick over 90 minutes, the jury decided on the ultimate penalty: death for Parker. But for one juror, Mike Riley, this isn't a fleeting case. It's etched in his memory for eternity. Riley mused with a tone reflecting awe and disbelief. It was nothing short of extraordinary. The sheer capabilities displayed by this young woman were mind-boggling. Riley recounted weeks of riveting court sessions, where the prosecution systematically unearthed Parker's web of lies, feigned inheritances, fabricated ailments, even a sham pregnancy devised to clutch onto her boyfriend's loyalty. It's like she had this uncanny knack for manipulating circumstances in her favor, and when things threatened to slip, she just cranked up the cunning, said Riley. Amidst legal sparring, a crucial showdown centered on Parker's mental state. Riley noted that both sides summoned experts, locking horns in a battle of perspectives, a rare courtroom clash. Amidst this intellectual brawl, Riley was swayed by the prosecution's experts. At the end of the day, their arguments held more weight, backed by thorough research, he affirmed. A colossal array of 142 witnesses and a staggering 100-plus exhibits painted a picture of damning evidence. Riley pointed out, only someone in their right mind could have orchestrated the intricate maneuvers involving phones and fraud that she did. Throughout the trial, Parker's demeanor fascinated Riley. As emotional testimonies unfurled like daggers, her countenance remained an enigma, a perpetual scowl, an absence of remorse, and not a solitary word escaping her lips. It was almost surreal. Bombarded with accusations and revelations, she wore that scowl as if daring anyone to reach her. Riley shared, awe dripping from his words. These jurors, united by their unsettling voyage, cast their unanimous vote, a single-minded decision, rendering the death sentence upon Parker. With emotions controlled, Riley summarized, "We believe justice was done, a semblance of closure for the grieving family." Behind bars at the Mountain View unit in Gatesville, Parker enters history as Texas' 7th woman to grace death row. Number 5. Darlie Lynn Peck Routier. Meet Darlie Lynn Peck Routier, a Texan mom whose life turned dark in 1996. This gripping story unfolds in Rowlett, Texas, where joy and sorrow collide. Darlie, born on January 4, 1970, was at the center of a mystery that shocked the nation. This is no ordinary tale. It's a roller coaster ride through suspicion, conviction, and a quest for the truth. Picture a cozy home on Eagle Drive, where a chilling incident occurred on June 6, 1996, at 2:31 a.m. The Routier residents dialed 911, reporting a horrific break-in that led to the unimaginable loss. Darlie's 2 sons, Damon and Devin, just 6 and 5 years old, were brutally stabbed. Darlie sustained knife wounds as she bravely tried to fight off the intruder. The investigation unveiled a gripping narrative. Darlie claimed an unknown man had attacked her family, escaping through the garage. But doubts crept in. The crime scene seemed puzzling, and Darlie's injuries raised questions. As the trial unfolded, the prosecution argued she was driven to commit this heinous act due to financial strain. They pointed to staged evidence and cast shadows of doubt. On February 1, 1997, a jury rendered a verdict that would change Darlie's life forever, guilty of assassinating Damon. Her sentence, death by lethal injection. The courtroom drama was intense, with conflicting testimonies and emotional turmoil. Amidst the legal battles, a glimmer of hope emerged. DNA tests, the modern marvels of science, were ordered, offering the possibility of a fresh perspective. But time ticked on, and justice remained elusive. Darlie's case became a media sensation. Books were written, documentaries aired, and discussions raged. Her ex-husband stood by her side, convinced of her innocence. Yet the heart-wrenching truth remained hidden, entwined in a web of secrets. As of 2022, those crucial DNA results still hang in the balance, the fact locked away like a buried treasure. Was Darlie wrongly convicted, or did justice prevail? The tale of Darlie Routier continues to captivate hearts and minds, a puzzle waiting to be solved. In this saga of love, loss, and uncertainty, Darlie's story unfolds like a gripping thriller, leaving us with one burning question. What happened on that fateful night? Number 6. Linda Anita Carty. Linda Anita Carty is a woman with a story that grabs your attention and won't let go. Born on October 5, 1958 in St. Kitts, she holds a mix of Kittitian and American identity. However, her life turned dark when she was on death row in Texas. What led her there? It's a tale that chills and bewilders. Picture this. The year is 2001. Cardi, once a teacher, now entwined in a web of crime, faces a gruesome accusation. She's said to have abducted and killed 20-year-old Joanna Rodriguez, all for snatching Rodriguez's newborn child, a heartless act that left many horrified. But here's the twist. Cardi vehemently denies her guilt. She claims she was set up by her co-defendants, a group tied to the drug trade. Why, you ask? It seems Cardi's past as an informant had earned her a dangerous group of enemies. The people she once helped catch in her role as a drug informant now pointed fingers at her. Cardi's legal battle has been far from smooth. Her attempts to appeal her conviction have faced rejection, even reaching the United States Supreme Court in 2018, only to be turned away. The timeline is peppered with petitions, pleas, and heartache. She's held on to a thread of hope, but the noose of justice tightens. Born in St. Kitts and raised by Anguillan parents, Cardi's journey carried her to the United States in 1982. With British citizenship in her pocket, she transitioned to becoming a U.S. citizen and even pursued education, studying pharmacology at the University of Houston. Yet, her life took a dark turn. The crime that branded her involved a horrifying invasion and kidnapping. On May 16, 2001, Cardi and her accomplices stormed a home, snatching a young mother and her newborn. Tragically, the mother met her demise, but the infant was spared. The details are as haunting as they are unsettling. A trial ensued, revealing a puzzling trail of evidence. Cardi's pregnancy claims clashed with appearances, leading to suspicions her involvement ran deep. But she never wavered in her fight for innocence. Phone records, witness testimonies, and letters came into play, weaving a narrative that kept everyone guessing. Her defense team fought fiercely, alleging a miscarriage of justice. They argued her trial attorney's incompetence, the withholding of vital evidence, and even an international breach of law. The British government stepped in as an ally, contending that Cardi's rights under the Bilateral Convention on Consular Officers were ignored. Media attention followed Cardi's case like a shadow. Documentaries shed light on her plight, and her image graced the fourth plinth in London's Trafalgar Square. Despite the spotlight, her fight for justice rages on. Cardi remains incarcerated, her fate tied to the Mountain View unit in Texas. Her story has sparked debates about justice, fairness, and the intricacies of the legal system. It's a story that tugs at heartstrings and leaves us questioning, where does the truth indeed lie? Number 7. Angela McAnulty. The lady who held Oregon's death row all by herself has just hit a twist in her tale. Imagine this. The only woman facing the Grim Reaper's call in the state since the 80s has just escaped that dark fate. Flashback to August 3, 2020, when the Lane County Circuit Court gave a nod to a deal making headlines. Here's the deal scoop. Angela McAnulty, the woman in question, agreed to drop her appeals for the assassination rap she caught while the county prosecutors tossed aside their fight for the death sentence slapped on her. It's like a legal tug-of-war ended with both sides dropping the rope. Now, Angela McAnulty isn't exactly a stranger to courtroom drama. She was given a dire sentence for her 15-year-old daughter's assassination in 2009. Fast forward to 2019, a ruling swept away that death verdict. Judge J. Burdett Pratt, in his wisdom, decided her legal eagles weren't so sharp back then. They advised her to plead guilty without getting any promises from the state. A real legal whoopsie. But wait, there's more. These lawyers, juggling another death penalty case like pros, didn't even examine evidence that could have lightened her doom. They didn't do their homework to prove she wasn't a future menace or dive into her mental struggles. Oops, they did it again. So the legal ping-pong started. Appeals, cross-appeals, it was like a match of who's got the better argument. But just as things were heating up, Oregon's lawmakers stepped in. They cranked down the death penalty rules a notch or two. It's only for the most significant cases, like terrorism or premeditated child assassination. Angela's story just happened to fall under the new rules. In a fitting finale, prosecutors and Angela put pen to paper. No more gallows or electric chairs. Instead, a life term without the chance of a prison break. That's the new deal, as final as it gets. Angela's partner in crime, her stepdad, had his day in court and is doing time for the same tragedy. Number 8. Heather Level Keaton. In a heart-wrenching case that shook Alabama, Heather Level Keaton was entangled in a web of darkness, her name forever linked to the deaths of 2 innocent children. This is a story of unspeakable cruelty and the quest for justice. Picture this, a small closet transformed into a chamber of dread. In the shadowy corners of this confined space, young lives were extinguished. It was March 2010 when the first 10-year-old child met her tragic end. Duct-taped and hidden away, her life was stolen in sheer cruelty. A few months later, another innocent life was snuffed out in June 2010. This time, a 3-year-old boy was bound to a broom handle, his world reduced to a corner in that same closet. The horrors inflicted on these young souls were born from twisted minds. Heather Level Keaton and her common-law partner John de Blase stood accused of these gruesome crimes. The motive? Unbelievably, it was sparked by the children's curiosity about their biological mother, an inquiry that sent Heather into a rage. This monstrous anger led to acts that defy comprehension. Witnesses paint a chilling picture of the events that unfolded. The children's questions ignited Heather's fury, culminating in horrific acts that defy easy explanation. Heather and John were held accountable for their deeds, facing the harshest of penalties, a death sentence. The saga began to unravel when authorities were led to believe these innocent lives were discarded like refuse, their remains buried in secrecy. Natalie, a mere 5 years old, was abandoned in the woods, while 3-year-old Chase met a similar fate in Mississippi, encased in a plastic bag. The details of their demise are chillingly vague, yet the unmistakable presence of misuse looms large. Heather's relationship with John was a crucible of torment for these young souls. Reports reveal an alarming pattern of misuse, a sinister ritual of duct tape, confinement, and unspeakable suffering. An arrest warrant outlines the heart-wrenching ordeal endured by Chase, bound, gagged, and left standing in darkness alone. The grim reality only came to light when a family member dared to speak the unthinkable. The children were possibly dead. The echoes of fear reverberated in Heather's pleas for protection. The truth is, both Heather and John pointed fingers at each other, a grotesque blame game for the lives they destroyed. As investigators peeled back the layers of this nightmare, they unearthed a community aware of the misuse yet paralyzed by inaction. Neighbors, friends, associates, their silence allowed the horror to persist unchecked. For 6 long months, the cries of a child were silenced, a fact that still haunts law enforcement to this day. In the aftermath, justice slowly took its course. John faced charges of assassination, abuse, and disregard for his flesh and blood. Heather, too, was held accountable, though the depths of her involvement remained shrouded in darkness. The story of Heather Level Keaton serves as a stark reminder that evil can fester behind closed doors. It highlights the urgency of vigilance and the duty to protect the vulnerable. The memory of those innocent lives lost lingers, a haunting testament to the depths of human cruelty. Number 9. Robin Lee Rowe. Meet Robin Lee Rowe, a name that sends shivers down spines. Born on September 12, 1957, her story is a chilling tale of deception and tragedy that unfolded on a fateful day, February 10, 1992. Picture this. A fire raging through a cozy Boise apartment, a husband estranged, and innocent children trapped in the relentless grip of carbon monoxide, the stuff nightmares are made of. The fire investigators didn't dance around the facts. They found traces of a fiery accelerant deliberately used to spark this inferno. Shockingly, the smoke alarm, a guardian angel in such moments, was silenced intentionally. Suspicion pointed directly at Robin Rowe, a woman living elsewhere as the flames consumed her family's dreams. Sheriff Gary Rainey led this curious case, whose detective instincts were like a bloodhound's nose for trouble. From her odd behavior to eerie coincidences, clues aplenty painted Robin Rowe as the prime suspect on their canvas of inquiry. A chilling history of disaster followed her footsteps. In a chilling flashback to 1980, she lost her son Keith to a fire that devoured him along with a hefty insurance policy payout. Hold on tight because the plot thickens. Robin Rowe wasn't just on a streak of bad luck. As detectives unearthed hidden truths, they found that she had a sneaky hand in the till of the YMCA where she worked. But that's not all. She had taken out hefty life insurance policies on her family, totaling a jaw-dropping sum. The million-dollar question: why? Arrested on February 13th, Roe's story entered its next spine-chilling chapter. The courtroom drama of 1993 had all the tension of a Hollywood blockbuster. The verdict? Guilty on all counts. Judge Alan Schwartzman dropped the gavel, condemning her to death. The end seemed nigh. Justice served. But life is stranger than fiction. Roe's appeals echoed through the years, bouncing from courtroom to courtroom like a desperate plea for a second chance. In a legal showdown in 2011, U.S. District Court Judge B. Lynn Windmill slammed the door shut on her hopes, sealing her fate. Now, confined within the grim walls of Pocatello Women's Correctional Center, Robin Lee Roe awaits her destiny. A name etched in infamy, her tale is a haunting reminder that monsters can wear human skin. Number 10. Krista Gale Pike. Meet Krista Gale Pike, a name that sends shivers down your spine. Born on March 10, 1976, she became infamous as an American criminal, claiming a sinister record as the youngest woman sentenced to death after the post-Furman era in the United States. But let's rewind to the twisted path that led her there. Krista's troubled life began with a rocky start, dropping out of high school and seeking solace in the Job Corps, a government initiative offering vocational training. In Knoxville, Tennessee, she crossed paths with Tatterall Shipp, her boyfriend, and together, they embarked on a dark journey, diving into the world of the occult and devil worship. The turning point was jealousy, ignited by her classmate Colleen Slemmer. Pike believed Colleen was a threat to her relationship, an accusation that friends vehemently denied. Pike and an accomplice hatched a plan to lure Colleen to a desolate steam plant where they promised peace but delivered only horror. On that fateful day, January 12, 1995, Colleen was brutally attacked and subjected to unthinkable torment for 30 minutes. Pike's actions shocked even the darkest corners of the human psyche. Colleen's life was extinguished, her fate sealed by a savage blow to the head. The aftermath was as gruesome as the crime itself. Pike flaunted a piece of Colleen's skull, displaying her depravity to anyone who would listen. Within days, the trio was apprehended, and the evidence was damning. Pike's jacket pocket held the macabre trophy, while Shipp's room concealed the Satanic Bible. The trial brought further revelations. Pike's confession and the weight of evidence sealed her fate. In March 1996, she was found guilty of first degree and conspiracy, facing a death sentence by electrocution. Shipp received life imprisonment, and an informant accomplice received probation. However, Pike's journey through the legal maze was far from over. She danced on the edge of execution, appealing, withdrawing, and appealing. The tides of fate kept shifting, but the conviction stood. Even an appeal to the federal court was met with rejection. Pike's darkness knew no bounds. Even behind bars, she orchestrated a web of violence. Attempted assassination, prison break schemes, and unlikely alliances deepened her notoriety. The line between reality and horror blurred as she conspired with inmates and officers to escape her confines. As the years rolled on, Pike's story continued to captivate. Legal battles, pandemic delays, and suspense surrounded her potential execution. The state of Tennessee grappled with her fate, debating whether she should face the ultimate penalty for her crimes. In a macabre twist, Pike's tale became a staple of authentic crime entertainment. TV shows delved into her chilling deeds, while a book immortalized her heinous act. Colleen's tragic story, a stark reminder of the depths of human darkness, will forever be etched into history. Krista Gale Pike's legacy is of horror and fascination, a cautionary tale of how a troubled life can spiral into the abyss. The question remains as the world watches and waits. Will she meet the ultimate consequence for her unspeakable actions?